And welcome to the Scorebird Sports Podcast, giving you both a bird's eye view and an eagle eye view at the same time. I'm here with Connor Kendall. I'm Cameron Clark. Connor, how are you doing today?
I can't complain, Cam. I mean, it's a pretty snowy, a little chilly day here, but other than that, not bad.
Yeah, are you still up in Layton?
I sure am.
There you go. It's not too much down here. I'm in Provo. I mean, you know this, but down in Provo, yeah, not too snowy today. Nothing stuck to the ground, so
No, that's good. I mean, I travel up to Park City every day for work, and I think it snowed just about half a foot or so. So
yeah.
little bit of a sprinkle. So
See, I'm just coming off my mission from Arizona. It was so nice not having to see any snow for 2 years, not having to shovel any of it. Granted, I still haven't shoveled snow since I've been back. Luckily, I'm in an apartment, so I don't have to shovel anything. It's still a pain though. I hate the cold. I'm ready for summer to start. I can just rock a shorts and a t-shirt all day, and those will be good days.
oh, I can totally agree. What was it was earlier, or I guess later last week when it was probably mid 60s
Yeah,
and just sunny. I was like, this is it. Can it just be like this all year round? Like that. This is the perfect weather.
amen to that. Yeah, it's perfect weather. Like you don't really need. I mean, I guess if you were to go hockey, I guess you need a bit colder of weather, but still, like that's you're set if you're weather like this.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah. If you're out there putting on them skates, slapping some pucks around. I mean, you're gonna be sweating in those sweaters if it's freaking mid 60s, low 70s.
Yeah, that ice might not stay afloat as well. You might turn into water polo with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It might be turning into like field hockey or something.
Yeah. Who knows? I've done field hockey. I've never played actual hockey, but like field hockey in like sixth grade PE, that was a fun unit.
Oh
You
yeah.
whack a couple of kids with sticks and hopefully not get in trouble for it.
No, for real. I mean, I've watched field hockey maybe twice in my life. It's huge back east where I went to school, and I mean, I don't know how it was a women's team, and I don't know how those ladies can play that. I mean, that ball, it's like it's playing hockey with a pool cue the size of a softball. Like it is insane.
Interesting. Who knows? Maybe we'll become the first field hockey podcast.
You
Uh,
know,
that'll that'll be our focus.
I think we'd have to shrink. I mean, we'd have to focus on East Coast schools, which I'm not. I mean, I'm not a fan of East Coast schools, but you know what? If that gets us on the map, then we'll be the field hockey guys.
Hey, let's go. Hey, 2028 Summer Olympics field hockey. We'll be your broadcasters.
Is that even going to be I think you're just pulling my leg, but that can't be a sport, is it?
I
Field hockey?
think it is.
Is it
Let me
gonna? Oh wait, no, yeah, you're right. This last Olympics, there was field hockey in it. Was there not?
I think there is. I'm looking it up right now. Um, yeah, because
I
like
want
I feel
to.
like the teams in South America and I feel like the Netherlands. Yeah, field hockey made its modern Olympic Games debut in men's competition in 1908.
Man, I when you said that, I thought you were just joking around, but then I was like, wait a minute. I think I remember seeing a post about like the Indian team just like absolutely dogging on like Great Britain or something. But
Let's see. Okay, now I'm trying to figure out who. Okay, so the Netherlands took gold in both men and women.
man,
So Netherlands is the country to beat in field hockey, apparently.
man, I mean, my wife, she's well, yeah, she's a quarter Dutch,
Okay.
so I can get. I think we can get on board. I think the Conine family, we can indulge in some field hockey now.
Hey, there you go. You've already got your in.
Oh yeah.
But go into some sports that we actually know some things about. Like
Yeah.
field hockey's fun and all, but like, yeah, I don't know anything about it.
I think we
Um,
could probably get the gist of the rules, but
yeah,
other than
who knows? Maybe we'll have to, if we get big enough, we'll fly ourselves out to LA and cover field hockey for NBC Sports.
hey, they'll take us, I'll do it.
But Anyways, going now, shifting focus, is here on the Scoreboard Sports Podcast. We want to cover a wide variety of topics: the NFL, NHL, MLB. We won't cover as much of the NBA. We were both talking a bit before, and Connor, correct me if I'm wrong, but we both just kind of feel like the NBA is kind of losing its savor, and honestly, regular season games not as fun as some of the
I
other
mean,
sports.
for me, it's like pulling teeth to watch or keep up with the NBA right now. Like, I'd gotten some Twitter notifications from Sham, and it was just about teams signing these two-way players to full NBA deals. I'm like, I don't know who these guys are. I right now could care less. And like what my friend Jonah says, and this applies to the NBA so much. Once football's over, now it's basketball season. And quite frankly, the NBA still just has not. I don't have the itch for it right now. So, I mean, maybe once the Jazz are good, maybe then we'll start talking about it. But
Hey, time to tank for Cooper Flag. We'll see what we get. I saw some mock drafts today. I think some of the picks I saw the Jazz taking VJ Edstrom out of Baylor, and I also saw Dylan Harper out of Rutgers. But it's
yeah,
interesting. Dylan Harper's dad refuses to let him play for the Jazz.
oh
I think
yeah,
he was passed by the Jazz. I don't know which draft he came out in, but he said on Twitter a while ago, or X, I guess, that he does not want his son playing for the Jazz.
oh, I saw. I think I saw the same thing. Like he is. I think he's been an adamant. He's been very verbal that he hates the Jazz for his whole career. Which, I mean, given what you just said, I mean, you don't need to explain it, I guess. But it's insane that you're gonna tell your son or communicate with his agent that we will go anywhere but the Jazz. That sounded like some Coach Prime type stuff right there.
Gives me Eli Manning almost getting drafted by the Chargers vibe. 'Cause I think it was the Chargers where he's like, I will not play for the Chargers. I think they took Philip Rivers in that draft uh, instead of Eli Manning.
Yeah, I think you're
Um,
right on that.
but yeah, anyways, but going with football now. Big news over the weekend: Debo Samuel traded to DC, going to play for the Commanders. All they get back in return the 49ers is a fifth round pick. What are your thoughts on this deal? Winner on either side? What do you think?
Honestly, I think Debo hasn't been the Debo of old, I guess you could say, even though he had a pretty good season well, 2 seasons ago when they made the Super Bowl. Last season it was kind of a little bit of sleeper. I think ever since he got into that fight, did he got into a fight with his kicker? Did he not? Like he was pushing him around. He was like cussing in his face or something. I can't remember the exact instance on it. Maybe you can look it up. But I think ever since that moment, he just has not been the same player. Maybe he was just sick of being in San Francisco, and with this move to Washington, uh, it'll rejuvenate his career in a sense, like get the fire underneath him again. But I think it's a good move for the 49ers, honestly. I mean,
Yeah,
the command for the Commander's sake, it gives Jaden Daniels another weapon, which I think that is probably the one piece that they're missing in this last playoff push. So, but I think the Niners won out on this deal.
see, I think it's the other way around. So I obviously last NFL season I didn't watch as much as I probably wanted to, and then I missed the last 2 years because of my mission. But going back to what you were saying about the kicker, it looks like it was the long snapper that he had beef with. So
That's even worse. I mean,
yeah,
being a kicker, you can chew us out. The long snapper, that they have. You think the kickers don't have too much of like responsibilities? The long snapper, one job only.
it looks like they'd missed 3 field goals in that game, and then yeah, Debo had none. But I mean, I haven't seen him play the last couple of years. My little brother Sam's a big 49er fan. And so we've always joked that he should get a Debo Samuel jersey, which I don't know, maybe it's a good thing now. Jerseys will go on sale now that he's not on the Niners anymore. But I mean, I think he's going to be a valuable number two receiver with the Niners. He's the number one guy, and I don't know, maybe he's getting older. Maybe he doesn't have that number one quality aspect as a receiver anymore. But with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels who can throw the ball around, he can run, he can make you just so confused on what's going on, what he's thinking, what he's doing. They've got Terry McLaurin already, so I think that'll be a really good 1-2 punch. Honestly, I could see the Commanders being the team to beat, even though the Eagles just won the Super Bowl. I could see them being the team to beat.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially, excuse me, especially in the NFC, just in the NFC in general. I think the Commanders for sure will finish second in the East, but yeah, you look at the receivers for the Commanders. I mean, like you said, Terry McLaurin. If I'm the opposing defense, I'm putting all my eyes on him. So that will definitely open up space for Debo. And then if you get that passing game going, that will just open up huge holes for Austin Eckler. That is if the O line can make that happen, which I think that was kind of a question mark last season. I don't think their O line was insanely good. That like they weren't an Eagles own line, but they weren't terrible. So maybe that's their next move. But no, I think the addition to Debo will definitely help Jaden Daniels.
Trying to find Kuiper's mock draft. Here we go. Trying to see where he has the Commanders taking. He has the Commanders taking a corner. Um, so I don't know. Maybe they'll fix that in the draft, but we'll have to wait and see with that.
I mean, Mad Mel Kiper, he's kind of he's right on a lot of stuff, but I mean, he's sometimes can get a little crazy. Not that they don't need a cornerback, but
Yeah, who knows? Going to some more like recent news though. Today, we found out Eagles plan to cut six-time Pro Bowl cornerback Darius Slay and also T. Higgins is franchise tagged for the second straight year with the Bengals. What do you think is the bigger deal?
I in terms of just being super like you had to check twice was Darius Slade getting cut or the announcement that they'll cut him before June 1st. I mean, you have a guy. I'm granted he's probably gonna want to. You might have to check this. Maybe I can try and check it. He might be coming up on the end of his contract, and being a six-time Pro Bowler, he's probably gonna want more money. They just won a Super Bowl. He was the captain on that defense. So from the Eagles' point of view, I can understand why they want to cut ties with him. I don't understand why they wouldn't just trade him if I were the Eagles. Maybe there's something that we don't know about that might come to surface later, but I mean, the Bengals had to franchise tag T. Higgins. He was going to be the top receiver on the market. Uh, thank goodness on the other side, Chris Godwin is thanking the Bengals for franchise tagging him because now he's the top receiver. Uh, he's the top receiver on the market. So it was a no-brainer for the Bengals. Question mark, head scratch for the Eagles as why they would cut him and not just try and trade him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Interesting decision. Didn't have any interceptions last year. 13 pass deflections, which was tied for 13th in the league. I mean, I remember growing up watching Darius Slay on I think he was on the Lions. That was his main team. I don't know why I'm blanking on what team. Yeah, started with the Lions. But hasn't scored since 2023, which I guess is last year. All of them return touchdowns, so no interceptions for a touchdown. Fumble, they've all been returning touchdowns. But yeah, I agree. I think T. Higgins bigger deal. Um, Joe Burrow's talked about he wants to keep that threesome together, him, Chase, and T. Higgins. And it looks like the Bengals are going to have to sign Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow to some massive contracts. T. Higgins may be the one that gets left out. But if the Bengals can pull it off, um, they'd be a fun team to watch. We're both here in Utah. We're both big BYU fans. Bengals obviously have Ryan Rico, former BYU punter.
Yeah.
They just signed him to an extension a couple of weeks ago. So I mean, the Bengals spending a lot of money right now. We'll have to wait and see what what happened with the rest of their roster.
Oh yeah, Ryan's my guy. He's my oh my gosh, I love Ryan so much. I've trained with him a couple times, and he's a great guy. He deserves every bit of that extension, every bit of his playing time he's deserved, and he's a great guy. So I can't complain about that. But
So, funny story. I was before the mission. I dabbled a little bit in some digital art, and so I did a drawing of him in his BYU gear punting, and I just sent it to him, not thinking anything of it. And all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, I look back and it's his profile picture on Instagram. I was like, oh, hey, look at that. And so it's funny, like he got married, and then I was like, okay, he'll probably change it to like him and his wife or something like that. And nope, still the same thing.
I was
Bengals
gonna
punter.
say, I think I remember that. It was. Is it the same picture now?
Yeah, it is still the same picture.
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
was gonna say.
if you look it up on Instagram, it's like a digital art drawing of him punting. I got to make a Bengals one for him and send it to him, but I've only ever had two BYU players follow me on Instagram. It's Ryan Rico and Sam Vanderhaar, so both BYU punters.
That's awesome. I mean, you send him that Bengals digital art. I mean, he's got to come on the show. I mean,
Oh, totally. We'll,
I
we'll
mean,
see
I
what
know him. You know him. I mean, what's he gonna do? Say no? I mean,
we'll see what we can get going.
oh yeah, that's dope. That is so sick. I have a buddy. Um, he lived right across the street from me in my childhood home, and he kind of does the same thing with digital art. And I believe he did some for Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert when they're on the Jazz, and he actually, I think Donovan saw them, and it was quite the coincidence because during that time, I think the Utah Jazz organization was holding some sort of art contest, and so he actually got his piece submitted into the show, and I think he got like top five or
No
top
way.
three, and that I think he's done work for uh, a bunch of BYU guys. He's a huge BYU fan as well, and I think he even got some of Jimmer, and he's posted those as well. So that's dope.
It's in the NFL. I guess we can hit real quick before we move on to the next topic. Um, Matthew Stafford signs with the Rams again after maybe wasn't sure if he was going to stick around, but looks like he is. And then Jimmy Johnson retiring from Fox NFL or Fox's coverage of the NFL. Any thoughts on those real fast before we head to the next topic?
Let me tell you, Cam, I am sleeping a lot better now, knowing that the Rams have just restructured Stafford's contract. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a huge
Okay.
Rams guy. So I can say without a doubt, and I think even Sean McVay said this on a podcast that we can sleep easy now.
Yeah.
If we can somehow restructure Cup's contract and maybe rebuild that bridge that we more than likely burnt down. So I'm not getting my hopes too
I
high
don't
up,
think he's going to,
but
unfortunately.
no, I don't think so either. But hopefully we can make that work in terms of getting a weapon or some draft compensation for him. But no, I was so excited. I think in terms of the draft for the Rams, they got to go for a quarterback because I don't think Stafford's obviously here till 2020, the end of the 25-26 season. I hope he's here for the 26-27 season and then he just retires. And if that's the case, I think the Rams got to draft a quarterback, maybe Jackson Dart. That's just my thoughts. If he's still on the board, I think you got to nab him, but you have him behind Stafford. You have him learn. I think the future's set for LA, especially with that young receiver core. But no, I have been sleeping so nice after that news came out.
Makes sense. Stafford, obviously, franchise changing type of player. When Ziggy Ansah was on the Lions, I'd spent a bit of time rooting for the Lions. Stafford's just a good overall guy.
Oh
I
yeah.
like him a lot. Looking at mock drafts, yeah, it doesn't look like anything in the first round. See, offensive tackle mainly is what it looks like, and I guess the guy's a defensive tackle, Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network. But yeah, most of the reporters have the Rams taking an offensive tackle in the first round. But yeah, a guy like Jackson Dart should be available come round 2, round 3. Local guy here in the state of Utah, so
Oh yeah.
he'd be a good pickup for them. I'd like to see a connection with Puka Nakua.
Oh yeah. I
To,
know at one point there was a little buzz flying around about the Rams trading for Zach Wilson. And let me take you back to when the Rams drafted Puka. I was I was so pumped up. I've never had like a BYU player on one of my favorite teams, like pro teams. So I was pumped, and then when the news started buzzing around that the Rams might trade for Zach Wilson, I was like, this is a fairy tale. This is like fantasy land that I'm living in. If that actually goes down, BYU quarterback to BYU receiver. I mean, I don't pinch me. Like just don't
yeah,
pinch me. That would be insane. But sadly, I think that has gone with the wind. I think Zach might be re-signing with the Broncos, but
for Zach, you know, we'll see what happens there. It'd be fun to have him reconnect with another BYU guy in Puka Nakua, his old running mate
oh yeah,
from back in Provo. But just to touch on Jimmy Johnson real quick, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of like pregame and postgame shows. Uh, the most I do is BYU's countdown to kickoff,
uh huh.
or I forget what they call it now.
It's
But like,
just like Cougar
oh,
Game
it's like
Day or
yeah,
something.
that's what it is.
They're
You're
they
right.
they're trying to rip off College Game Day, but
Yeah,
I get it. I get it. Respect, but
yeah. I don't know. For me, like I'm just let's get in. Let's play the game. Uh, Like I don't need to hear all this talk about it beforehand. But yeah, I don't know. Just some of my thoughts on that. Do you have any thoughts on Jimmy Johnson before we head to NHL stuff?
I mean, like what you just said. I'm not a huge pregame. I mean, the biggest pregame shows I'll watch are College Game Day. College Game Day will get me pumped up for um, that week's slate of games for the college level. NFL, I honestly could not care like less honestly. Not to be harsh, but when I have watched Fox pregame, which the Super Bowl was on Fox this year, so we got flashes of Jimmy Johnson. I think Michael Strahan's on that team as well. Um, I like Jimmy. I liked him as a sports personality. I mean, he was a great coach for the Cowboys and for Miami. Yeah, he was at Miami. Yeah, I
Yeah,
believe so. Um, so I'm not heartbroken. I think I'm happy for him. I mean, he gets to go and just relax probably at his mansion in Miami Beach in the Florida
yeah.
Keys somewhere. So good on him, I guess.
Pretty good life to live. Man, it'd be nice. Speaking about like money, retirement, and all that stuff. I guess not necessarily retirement, but Utah Hockey Club extended defenseman Oli Mata. Mata recently also took some time off for the Four Nations face-off. One of the lone, I believe, the only Utah Hockey Club player that got game action. He
Yeah.
suited up for Finland. But thoughts on that? And thoughts kind of on the upcoming playoff push for the Utah Hockey Club?
No, Mata is a key. I think he's a pretty key piece for that defense, at least rotating in. Um, the, I'll tell you, ever since Ryan Smith, SEG Media, or just SEG, purchased the artist formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes. I have never been so invested, I think, in a professional sports team so fast with the hockey club. Like I took my wife to a game on her birthday, and the energy I felt in the arena was, in terms of just a regular old run-of-the-mill hockey game, was the most energy I had felt in that arena. Like no regular season Jazz game could top that energy. it was insane. And so that got me invested, and now this playoff push is stressing me out, Cam. I don't know what. Looking at the stretch of games, they have one of the easier schedules, but growing up a BYU fan, growing up a Jazz fan, you can't take anything for granted. You can't look at that like, oh, easy playoff team. They're gonna. I just know it's gonna happen. They're gonna break my heart like every other team. They're gonna get probably 1 or 2 points shy of that wild card berth, but I'm here for the ride though. This has been an incredible first season, but looking at the upcoming schedule for them, it's tough. They play the Red Wings on Thursday, I believe, who is just coming off of a loss to the Blue Jackets in a Winter Classic,
Yeah,
which
Stadium
that
Series.
game was crazy. Yeah, Stadium Series. Yeah.
I love how the NHL does it. Saw a tweet. Ryan Smith said actually that he's got things in the works. That he's trying to bring a game to Utah. Some of the NHL like media like event organizer people said it'd be pretty hard. But anyway, sorry, I was just throwing that. You were talking about the
No, no, I saw that actually too. I think Holly Rowe actually tweeted
Yep.
like Stadium Series at Stadium Series at Rice Eccles, and I saw that same tweet back saying it's in the works, which I've heard chatter about it might be difficult. I think mainly with the Olympics coming up, which I don't know how far in advance they schedule these Stadium Series matches. So that'll be interesting to see if they could possibly get one scheduled in the next 2 or 3 years. Um,
Yeah. Saw the crowd pretty quickly for that. I think I was looking. So Utah Jazz started playing in the Delta Center in 91 to 92. That was their first season. So that's been what, like 35, no, 25 years, 35 years?
they had the 50th anniversary last season, two
Okay,
seasons
yeah.
ago. So this
So
is their 51st or 52nd season, I think.
okay. So yeah, and then they moved into the Delta Center. I think it was 20 years after that. So yeah, around like 30, 34, 33 years now in the Delta Center. But Utah Hockey Club first game sometime in October, I think it was. They played the Blackhawks. You were talking just about the atmosphere earlier, and I wanted to touch back on that real quick. They sold more beer that first game in in the Delta Center than they had for any other event in Delta Center history. It was the first hockey club game. I don't know. It just kind of tells you like the crowd that's
It
going
is,
there. Like
yes.
it's something else. Like I got to go to a game back in January. I'm planning on going to one beginning of April as well. But like it's unlike anything I've ever been to.
Oh, for real. The amount of energy is crazy, and I believe it was funny. There's a post um, that was put up by it's a local uh, Utah Hockey Club media coverage guy, and I guess when Utah played the Devils last Saturday, the Jazz Bear was going around dressed up as like a bishop or like a pope in the Catholic Church, and he was spraying down Jersey fans with a spray bottle that was labeled holy water, and he had a Bible in his hand, like, and then threaded down below was a Jersey fan, and him saying, and this I think is really cool to read, coming from a New Jersey Devils fan. I mean, Jersey hockey is just rich. I don't think they're one of the original six. I could be wrong, but that fan saying that this was one of the most electric environments he has experienced is, I think, props to Utah for creating such a insane um what's the word I'm looking for, addictive like environment in such a short period of time. So I think they deserve to go to the playoffs their first season. But looking at this schedule, it's going to be tough. I mean, must-win games. They've got to beat Vancouver. they've got to beat Calgary. Those are the two teams above them, I think, fighting for the wild card. But then you got to look out below you, and with the Ducks that are right below you, I think the Kraken might not be knocking, but there's a couple teams. It is a nail biter. It is a nail biter. It's going to come down to the last couple of games of the season. So
It's away a one win. I don't know exactly. I know Calgary's ahead of us. I know. I was just looking at the schedule with my roommate. My roommate's a big hockey fan, big New York Ranger fan.
uh
But I was looking at the schedule with him. Yeah, 2 points back. So hopefully we can get it going before spring hits, and we can take a nice run on our way to the playoffs.
yeah, I mean, yeah, 2 points back, which that's what made that Jersey game last Saturday so frustrating. I mean, they lost to them, I think 5-2 or 3-2. It was a pretty close. I think they racked up the score because of a couple empty netters, but the only saving grace from that loss was that Vancouver and Calgary lost as well. So that I can keep going on about it, but it's going to be an exciting time in the state to watch these guys fight for a playoff berth.
It'll be a lot of fun. Switching gears now, my bread and butter. I'm a big baseball fan. Um, I wanted to cover just a couple of the topics that we had here before we head to some college stuff. But um, I don't know. Spring training is first full week. Former Cougar Daniel Schneeman hit a homer today, which was pretty sweet.
All right,
I don't
all
know.
right.
You're a Red Sox fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah,
You got Bregman out there in Florida. Got Garrett Crochet, Walker Bueller. My Angels, nothing too crazy. Jorge Soler is making a name for himself among Angel fans. Trout's out
yeah.
and right. What are your big storylines that you've seen so far from first week of spring training?
Um, there hasn't been a ton of buzz. Freddie Freeman, I think he hit two back-to-back homers. Um, in I don't know who they're playing exactly. Um, that was a big storyline that I read. Um, it sounds like Corbin Carroll. This might be an even better year for him than 2 years ago. Um,
So I was actually on my mission at the time. Mission had just merged. I served in the Phoenix, Arizona mission, and the cutoff actually was right before you hit downtown. So like all the big stadiums downtown were out of our mission, which I was pretty bummed about. I got to go to a spring training game. It was like 6 months into my mission, uh, but I was like, oh, that's a bummer that the mission or Diamondback Stadium's just outside. But I ended up mission boundaries changed, and we ended up having the Diamondback Stadium in. So I actually got to watch. I got to go to a game on the 4th of July. Got to see Corbin Carroll play. I'd heard rumblings about him, but I mean, I was on mission, so I couldn't watch him play. But he hit a homer in
yeah,
that game, and I got to go to the World Series. Actually, got to see him play as well. So that was pretty cool. He's Diamondbacks definitely become one of my new favorite teams.
that's
They
crazy.
got Corbin Carroll, Corbin Burns. It's a fun team to watch.
No, for sure. I think they are. I mean, they kind of had a quieter season last year, if I'm not mistaken. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't a typical D-back season, but it was by far not what they had in 2023. 23, yeah, 23.
Mhm.
Um, Now I'm excited to watch to see where the D-backs go this year. In terms of my Red Sox, I mean, I don't know how likely it is, but we have a pretty strong rookie class that's been developing, like with the Woo Sox or like up in Portland, the Paw Sox. We had a couple guys just making a pretty big impact during spring training. One Christian Campbell, he had a pretty good couple stretches of games there. Um, now I'm honestly, for the first time in probably 3 or 4 seasons, I'm excited about the Red Sox since probably 21 when they beat the Rays in the wild card, but I think it was 21. Um, No,
It's actually going to be a fun team to watch this year. They're actually my pick to win them. So I mean, I'm putting it out there. My pick, Red Sox
knock on
over
some
Mets.
wood if you're around. I mean, I'll take that.
I don't know. I really like that Bregman signing that they made in the offseason. I think the improvements they made with their pitching as well, taking Walker Bueller and Garrett Crochet. I
Yep.
don't know. I mean, they weren't anything too good last year, but I don't know. I really love Bregman. Like, I think he's getting ready to have an MVP caliber season hitting in Fenway. And so I don't know. That's my bold prediction for the MLB season. I'm sure down the road, once we get closer to opening day, we can have a show just dedicated to our predictions for the year and all that stuff. But
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
just bold prediction out there for you. I guess y'all have to get ready for the uh, MLB prediction show that we do.
No, when the news came out about Bregman, I thought it was just another just rumor
Yeah.
because I can't remember who it was. I remember 2 years ago there was word that the Red Sox might try and place a bid for Shohei. That obviously didn't happen because I don't know what clicked, who talked some sense into the GM for the Sox, but they have never wanted to spend money. That's why they traded Mookie because they didn't want to offer him a super. And so when I saw the news that they signed Bregman, I'm like, holy cow! Who opened up their wallet? Like we don't buy
Yeah.
Alex Bregmans. Like that's not what the Red Sox have done. So I was pumped. I'm like, this actually might be a good year. Last year we were just on the cusp. I thought we were so close, but no. With the addition of Bregman, this I think will be a really good season.
Yeah. It'll be a lot of fun uh, for sure. I think we probably have time for one more in our MLB list. Any topic that you wanna cover?
I have a thought. So ESPN they just dropped a couple. I guess you could say there are a couple articles. Um, Buster Olney, ESPN, he covers the MLB. He has a couple lists of top tens in every position.
Okay.
So I wanna test you or see if you can take a couple cracks at. We'll do the top three
All right.
of starting pitchers and uh here we'll do three. We'll do starting pitchers, corner outfielders, and DHs.
Okay.
So we'll start off. I have starting pitchers up right now, so we can go with this. I'll give you some. I'll give you a couple hints as to who is on the honorable mention right now.
Okay.
For the honorable mention, he has this is starting pitchers. He has Jacob DeGrom,
Okay.
which that's all right. That's fine. Shohei.
Okay.
Shohei is an honorable mention this year. Garrett Cole, honorable
Okay.
mention. Uh, Yamamoto, honorable
Okay.
mention. So I'll also give you 8, 9, and 10.
Okay.
So number 8 is Corbin Burns. I think you mentioned him a couple
Yep.
couple minutes ago. Number 9 is Logan Webb with the Giants. Number 10 is Garrett Crockett with the Sox.
Okay.
Knowing the honorable mentions and the bottom 3 of the top 10, who would you guess are the top 3 pitchers or anticipated pitchers this season? Starting pitchers.
Okay. So I'm trying to think. Going just through the list of names in my head, and again, I don't have this open, so I don't know. I haven't seen the article. You haven't sent it to me. But I would say, so I'm just like thinking of pitchers who were really good this past season. You have Tariq Skubal, you have Chris Sale, your reigning Cy Young winners. You have Paul Skeens, is always a good pick. You have Pete Wheeler, it's the backyard baseball character. What's
Hey,
Wheeler's
he should
name?
be on there.
Yeah, what's Wheeler's name on the Phillies? Zach Wheeler. Um, then you've got. Oh, I'm trying to think. My guess is the top three come from those 4 or 5 names that I gave you. Um, my guess is they probably have. I don't know. That's tough. Who would be number one? Like personally, I would put Tariq Skubal number one as the best pitcher in baseball. Probably put Zach Wheeler number two, followed by Chris Sale and Paul Skeens. I think he's done enough to show that he's a top of the line guy. Yeah, those are my guesses. What did Brother Buster only say for us?
Okay, so you're pretty close. Since you named four, I'll start from four and go to one.
Okay.
So at number four, he has put Chris Sale,
Okay.
which I can respect that. I mean, quite frankly, I'm pissed.
Let him get away as a Red Sox fan.
I'm mad because that is also a very stereotypical thing for the Red Sox to do. But anyway, I've gone on that rant. So number three, Paul Skeens,
Okay.
which I can get that. Now, top two, you named them. You named them both. You just had to flip them. Number two is Tariq Skubal, and number one
Okay.
Zach Wheeler. So I'm impressed. I'll give you a hand because that was good.
I told you baseball's my jam. So
All right, we'll do we'll we'll wrap this one up. We'll do a corner outfielder since there's a couple bigger names.
okay.
So I'll read a couple honorable mentions as well. We got Kike Hernandez.
Interesting.
We got Ian Happ.
Okay.
And we got Trouty. We got Mike Trout as an honorable mention as well. Which
Yeah, I think that's good. I think Trout will do enough this year where he can get inside the top 10. I don't think he'll ever be a top five corner outfielder again, or even if
I
he was in
mean
center field, I don't
he's
think he'll be top
missed
five. But
he's missed about 60% of the games over the last four seasons is what this is saying. But to honestly, and you mentioned it before, Kim, that it's not a huge surprise that Trout's on the honorable mention. He did miss about 60% of the team's games over the last four seasons, so that's not a huge shocker. You would say. Um, to give you the bottom three, we got Stephen Kwan with the Guardians.
I like the pick. I think he's a solid player.
He's number 8. Christian Yelich is number 9, which I can respect that.
Yeah.
Jackson Chorio with the Brewers.
Okay.
I'm also pumping a celebratory fist. Jaron Duran's number 7, so I'll take that.
There you go.
With that info, give me your top. Who you think the top 3 listed here are?
So these are corner outfielders, right? So both left and
Yep.
right field.
Yep.
Okay. So just running through names in my head, you've got Juan Soto. I think they have Aaron Judge in the corner outfield section. Let's see. You have Jackson Merrill, a corner outfielder. I don't know. Nope, center fielder. Okay. So yeah, I'd probably go Aaron Judge number one, Juan Soto number two. Um, and then I bet Kyle Schwarber's in there. Um, Dang, it's really making me think. It'd be interesting to see if they have Altuve or Yordan Alvarez in there. Because I know Alvarez will probably be DHing now. Altuve was just told that they're going to put him in left this year. Ooh, Kyle Tucker. I bet Kyle Tucker is in that list. And I think corner out. Oh, Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is probably number three. And then, oh no, he's a shortstop now though. I forget about that. Yeah, those are probably the names I'd throw out there for top three is Judge, Soto, and Schwarber. I can't really think of anyone else off the top of my head right now. But yeah, those would probably be the three I'd go with.
All right. Well, you got 1 and 2 right on the head. Judge
Okay.
is ranked at coming in at number 1, Sweta number 2. Number 3 is Tucker, Kyle Tucker. I
Okay.
don't, if I'm not mistaken, I think Schwarber, he might be listed as a first baseman.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'd
Maybe,
have to.
maybe he's a DH 'cause I think Harper plays
He
first
might
for the
be.
Phillies.
That's true. He might be. Yeah, that's. There's a point in time I think where they're kind of flip flopping.
Yeah.
Um, here I'm actually curious to see. Let's see what the DH lines are. Shohei is
I,
number 1. Jordan
yep.
Alvarez is number 2.
Yep.
Kyle Schwarber number 5. Yeah, so they put him as a DH. Yeah, but you kind of nailed those rankings, so I'm not. I won't give you too much of a hard time there, but
Just curious, who do they have at 4, 5, and 6? And give me accurate. Give me the teams of 4, 5, and
with
6.
with DH or
With the corner outfielders.
corner outfielders at 4, 5, and 6. Let me pull back up. So at 4, we got Ronald Acuna.
Okay.
We got Corbin Carroll,
Okay. And then
and then we
just give me
got
the
Fernando
team.
Tatis.
Okay, Fernando Tatis. Yeah, that makes sense. I forget they moved him to right.
Yeah. So freaking stacked list. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane to see
There's
all those guys on there.
a lot of money in those lists right now.
Oh, billions. Well, yeah, probably
Yeah.
close to for sure over a billion. Probably
Yeah.
close to 2. With that saying, I mean, sticking on the baseball note, we could probably swing into some college ball. I mean, here locally is the only college ball I really pay attention to, but
Yeah.
I mean, BYU, the Cougs, starting off kind of little somber, a little 0-2. You kind of, I don't know if you were worried, Cam, but after this trip out to Spokane, just absolutely smacking the Zags. They're 7-2 on the season now.
It's a lot of fun. Uh, Actually, while walking to my volleyball class today, I saw the student athletes here at BYU. They all have like a backpack, like a nice Nike backpack, and it's navy and royal blue, and so they stand out. And so I see one, and sometimes they have name tags. So as I'm walking by, I'll try and read them. But I actually saw Cooper Vest today while walking to my class. He was Big 12 player of the last or co Big 12 player of the week last week, which was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, BYU 7-2 in their last 9 games. They've been fun to watch. 24 homers on the year so far. Um, the Greg Wrubell called them something. It's like the something Cougs, the Bat Cougs, or I forget what he called them, but yeah, they've been a lot of fun to watch this year. They taken on Stetson this week, where Jacob Degrom played shortstop for them before he made the transition to pitcher in the majors.
The Hatters, right?
Yep.
Hatters. Didn't I? Forgive me if I'm wrong. They almost beat A&M, did they not? And they were robbed off of a really bad call.
I think it was Florida
Was
actually.
it Florida?
Yeah.
If you're looking it up, you might beat me.
Let me see. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. So yeah, they've won 3 in a row. Stetson has. They just beat the Mount. I think it's Mount St. Mary's is the team they just played. But yeah, it was Florida that they played.
Was Florida ranked number 1 at the time when they
Number
played them?
8.
They're 8. Okay, I knew it was really tough. I couldn't remember because A&M is number 1, I think, in the polls right now. So I
Yep.
couldn't remember if it was them or someone else. But I think what it was a ground out to second, but the runner on third crossed. But I can't remember where the controversy came. Whether if it was at first base where they threw him out, or
Yeah, I think it was first base. I think the runner touched the wrong part of the white base and some base on the right. I think he accidentally touched the white base instead of the white base, and so they called it something stupid like that. But I mean Stetson, they seem like a pretty good team. Like they've won. See, 3-3, 4-4, or 7-5 on the year. 4-4 at home. This will be their first true road game. 3-1 neutral sites, and like I said, 4-4 at home. So it'll be a fun test. 4 game series. All games at 3 o'clock except for the one on Saturdays at 1 here at Miller Field. I think is what it is at Miller Park.
Yeah.
Um, so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch. Um, cheering on the Bat Cougs. I'll probably go to a couple games. Get in free with my Rock Pass, which is nice.
All right. All right. You have to keep notes.
Yeah,
I
definitely will.
the eagle eye on the Cougs live, get first hand reporting from camp.
Exactly. Who knows? I've messaged speaking about like Cougars baseball. I've messaged Jackson Clough a couple of times um, on Instagram. Just chatted, asked him a couple questions as I've seen stuff, and I don't know. Maybe he's someone we could try and invite in the future on the podcast just for
Oh
a
yeah,
quick
that'd be fun.
little
That'd be
segment.
good.
I was talking with him. I think it was last week, and he's still playing. He's up in AAA right now, Rochester, the Redbirds for Washington Nationals.
Okay.
Um, didn't crack the top 30 prospects list, so his time may be coming to an end. You're seeing him hoping he can make it to the bigs. Be a lot of fun. Only two current Cougars in the big leagues right now. That is Daniel Schneemann for the Guardians and Justin Sterner for the Athletics. And then the other Cougar in spring training is Andrew Pintar with the Marlins.
Okay.
So 3 Cougs in spring training rosters right now. Pintar just a non-roster invitee. So I think he ended last year at Double A Pensacola, the Blue Wahoos. Um, but yeah, so future looks bright for BYU baseball for sure.
No, for sure. I mean, baseball's kind of been on the college levels at least kind of a hush hush. Not a whole lot of traction. I mean, you look, which is kind of crazy because you look at the high school game at least. I mean, that's where I'm from. AF, Lone Peak.
Oh yeah,
I think Corn Canyon has even come up in the ranks. They kind of control high school baseball in the state of Utah. Um, I remember I didn't play baseball in high school, but our I had a couple buddies on the team, and the only reason I know all this stuff is because I think my senior year and then the year after mine, our team didn't win a single game, or maybe one game in the last 3 years, maybe. But the dominance in the high school game in Utah, you would think there'd be a little more traction in the college game, but it's there hasn't been too many big leaguers compared to like the South or like even Midwest.
yeah. I'm not too like keen on my college baseball. This will be the first year that I really follow it. I'm excited. I mean, we've been playing well this year. Cooper Vest has been playing well. Stone Cushing named to the preseason All Big 12 first team, also named to preseason All American. He's the closer for the Cougs. I believe he's a senior this year, though, so I'm thinking he'll probably get a look in the draft. The Cougars had one draft pick last year, taken by your Red Sox, actually, in the 20th round, so last round, almost the last pick of the draft. Um, but yeah, future looks bright for the Cougs, and baseball's not the only sport they look good in right now.
That is very true. I mean, we're looking at spring ball coming up here for the football team. Um, I don't know if you heard this or not, but it sounds like a lot of universities, a lot of schools around the country are closing off their spring games. They're
Yeah,
not
I
allowing any. I don't know if it's. It sounds like no spectators at all, which, from what I've heard, it makes sense with transfer portal, NIL money coming in. I mean, paying players. You don't want to lose your guys for other teams watching them spring games and maybe coming up to them after and saying, "Hey, you jump into the portal right now, you get X amount."
yeah, I like the way that that's turning out. Like honestly, I don't think spring games. Like yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice to see, but you do it enough in practice. I like what BYU does with their alumni game. Gives the fans an opportunity to come out to the stadium, see some of the former pros play there, and yeah, like I said, I think it's fine. I don't really think it's too big of a deal. like I saw a report a few weeks ago that they might just get rid of spring practice altogether and just make it just an extended fall practice. Like teams can get together if they want, but like no team sanctioned activities
Yeah.
for the spring, no team sanctioned spring practice. Which I don't know. I think that's a better way to look at it. BYU seems to have their roster pretty set right now. No big position battles. Only carrying three quarterbacks. Receiver room looks great. Running back room looks great. Defensive line is going to be fun this year with Keanu Tanavasa. Corners will have a hole to fill with Jackson Robinson leaving, but from what I'm hearing, Jonathan Kuminga is looking pretty good. He's wearing number 2 this year for the Cougars. So yeah, spring ball, exciting stuff. The just had media day today. So they have some interviews going on. Not sure exactly what was said. Haven't seen that yet, but yeah, spring ball looks pretty good.
No, it's looking great. I think your point from the corners. I think the corner room is very deep this year. I think they're pretty deep last year. The only position group I'm really worried about with is the D line, with the recent departure of Tyler Batty graduating, who is kind of he seemed to be tearing it up at the combine. Let's be honest. I think he did pretty well. I think he might have risen his draft stock a little bit. Um, but that's my only worry is for this upcoming season is how that D line is going to look because linebackers loaded, cornerback room is pretty deep. I wouldn't say the talent is going to be at the level that it was last year, but I'd say it's pretty deep.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm thinking probably 9 wins this year. You'll probably lose to Iowa State, would be my guess. I don't know. 9 might be cutting it short. That gives us room
I
for
was
two
like, come
games
on,
to
come
drop.
on.
But I think I don't know. 9-3, I'd be happy with for this upcoming year.
I'd be happy with 9-3. I, I can see leading up to the. This is how it was last year. Once we beat Kansas State, I was looking at the remainder of the schedule. I'm like, we can be undefeated by the time we play Utah, and that's exactly what happened. And
Yeah,
I'm looking at the schedule this year. We could be undefeated by the time we play Utah, and I would not be surprised if they did the same. Which is,
yeah. Like
which I mean, going into less with two undefeated teams in a rivalry match, I don't know if you could ask for more. But if they come off of that game with a win, I don't see how they drop more than 2 games for the remainder of the season.
yeah, I think the only ones I worry about is that 2 game road trip. Um, Texas Tech, Iowa State, those ones will be tough. Like if I had to pinpoint, you tell me you're gonna have 2 losses this season. Those would be the two I would look at. I mean, Utah's at home. Um, if it was in Salt Lake, I'd say probably I might pencil that down as a loss. Just like if I have to take 2 losses, but if I'm gonna take 2 losses, yeah, probably loss at Iowa State, loss at Texas Tech, and then finish up the year on a three game win streak. The only other loss I could potentially see this year is coming at Colorado, but I think everything else seems pretty winnable.
No, I agree. I agree. I think you said it. I'm not going to echo you. You said it perfectly. Those are how my feelings are, especially on the season.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we kind of close things out here, we'll turn our attention to college basketball as the Cougars now ranked number 23 in the AP poll, number 22 in the coaches. After a big win versus West Virginia coming up, they play Iowa State tomorrow. Thoughts on how the Cougs are doing in that side of the sport?
Quite frankly, I had very little expectations this year.
Okay.
With the departure of Mark Pope and Jackson Robinson, the transfers from, in addition to Khalifa and Waterman, um, my hopes, my spirits were shot. I had no expectations. Even with the announcement of Kevin Young getting hired, I'm like, this is great. We're going to get some traction. We're signing some good guys, but I thought it was going to be more difficult than he has shown to excel past Mark Pope's first season in the Big 12 and already have one more win on it on on the in the history books as a Big 12 member. So I this next game I think is the test to show what the Cougars are made of. If they can lock down, go into Ames and beat a top 10, are Iowa State
Yeah.
top 10?
Yep. Number 10.
Top 10, top 10 Iowa team, Iowa State team. I don't see how they don't one make a run in March. Like if they, I can potentially see a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah.
I can't not see them potentially getting to the semifinals, if not even the championship game of the conference.
Yeah. I think if they win at Iowa State, um, I think it's realistic to say that BYU will make it to the semis. With the way seeding works right now, you'd probably run into Houston in the semis, and Houston looks unbeatable right now. The only team that beat them this year was Texas Tech, but Houston just looks too good to beat. Like I don't think with even as well as the Cougars are playing right now, I think it'd be tough to beat Houston. Um, but then yeah, I think BYU would win their first round matchup in March Madness, um, and then they're probably going to run into a number one seed, whether it's Alabama, Florida, or Duke. I'm not quite sure, but I'm gonna run into one of them. So that'll be a tough one to see what happens. But I don't know. I think future looks good. I love the way KY and his staff are coaching the Cougs right now, especially with Richie Saunders getting his second Big 12 Player of the Week in a row.
Oh yeah, I mean, you tell me if you expected this kind of a season out of Richie, because I can tell you I was not expecting. I thought it was going to be a Jaeger or catching show, and to see Richie just and one embrace his role and two excel and just dominate at this part of the season. I mean, I couldn't tell you that that was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of funny with the 2 year gap, obviously, since I've watched BYU basketball. The only players on the team that I'd seen play was Trevenell and Foose. That was both when they were freshmen. And so seeing Richie play this year has been a lot of fun. From the sounds of it, I mean, he was all right, but wasn't anywhere near this level the last couple of years. But I mean, yeah, I really love watching Richie play. He's just I'm trying to think who he reminds me of in the NBA, just like a nice kind of catch and shoot guy. Kevin Young compared him to Alex Caruso in the beginning of the year.
Okay.
I like that comparison. Kind of just could be a good role guy. Like I don't think he'll go be a star in the NBA. Jonathan Tavernari, actually, former BYU basketball player, has got a decently big presence on Twitter. But he said, I think it was Ben Criddle that he told this to. He thinks that Richie will actually leave after this year because of how high his draft stock has climbed. Which I haven't seen him in any of the mock drafts or anything. Highest I've seen is at least the most recent one from Sports Illustrated. Jaeger at number 13, Cannon at number 23. Which I would actually be shocked if Cannon gets drafted in the first round, and I
Yeah.
actually think Cannon will stay another year to improve his draft stock. But who knows?
I No, go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, I wouldn't even be surprised if Jaeger comes back for one more season because I feel like the hype from him coming in to the season. I mean, he's been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but he's had so many stretches where it's looked like, is this even the same guy that we recruited, that we brought over
Yeah,
from Europe? Like, then again, he wasn't playing on the first team in Real Madrid. I don't believe. I think he's on the second team, but that's still some pretty high level competition there. Um, so I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if Cannon comes back. I also would not be surprised if Jaeger comes back. It does pain me, but I do think Richie is is on his way out as well. I saw that same um, article from Ben Criddle, but
see, I think Richie will stay. I don't see him going to the NBA at least this year. Like I think he definitely has a shot next year with the way he plays. But I I do think Cannon will stay, but I do think Jaeger will probably leave. I think if he's going to be a lottery pick, he'll leave. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of factors. Travis Hansen was on BYU Sports Nation probably about a month ago, and he was just talking how good that BYU has been for Jaeger, just how it's helped him increase, his relationship with God, his relationship with Christ. Talks about how he's got a girlfriend right now that's been really good for him, and it also helps that she's 10-time newcomer of the week for the Big 12, Delaney Gibbs. So I don't know. Maybe she can have some
Yeah.
sway if if he stays or not. But yeah, I think Jaeger's probably gone. I'd love to see him play another year here, but I don't know. Only time will tell. I think there's a lot better chance now than there was at the beginning of the season. But yeah, who's to say?
The only reason I can see Jaeger, well, I guess one that I already mentioned was I feel like his game has been pretty inconsistent, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's fair to say.
But you, you look at the reports of Cooper Flagg, him possibly coming back for to Duke for one more year, and when reading deeper into it, I don't blame the guy if he does, and this goes for a year as well. I mean, a rookie contract in the NBA is nowhere near as much how much, well, one, a Cooper Flagg is making NIL money, but I guarantee you, Jaeger is probably making more bucks here at BYU that he's going to make if he is a lottery pick in the NBA next year.
Yeah, I think NIL has kind of changed the game. I think we'll see a lot less one and dones. Um, at least from the bigger name schools. From the small name schools, like guys, I'm trying to think like a small name school guy that got drafted. I guess you could
Like,
talk about like the G League guys or someone like that, or like the international players. I could see them. Like you'll see a lot more of them taken first round. But yeah, I think like NIL has really hurt college sports just from like an university side of things. But I think one way it will help is it'll keep kids in school longer.
no, I can see that. I was going to say, when you're mentioning smaller names, well, yeah, names from smaller schools. I mean, Sam Merrill at Utah State, he got drafted.
Yeah,
It's like those guys that are probably going into the NBA because, I mean, Utah State probably isn't bringing in $10 million in NIL for a Sam Merrill, or
yeah,
so. I can see that. I can see the bigger schools having less one and dones, and the smaller schools, those guys taking bigger steps into the league.
yeah. It's definitely interesting. Who knows? Guess we'll just have to see what happens. It's a coin flip, I guess you could say. Um, but yeah, it'll be an exciting week. We got Iowa State on Tuesday, and then Utah on Saturday.
It's gonna be a crazy week. What's your prediction for tomorrow's game?
Oof. That's a good question. My guess, I don't know. Like I think BYU's playing well enough, but I also think going to Ames and playing in the Hilton Coliseum is going to be tough. I think BYU 75-69 is going to my guess final score. I think Iowa State probably takes the dub. Um,
Okay,
but I think BYU hangs in there. I hope I'm wrong though. I hope I'm
I can see this. I think this is about. I mean, it's later into the season, but it's a pretty similar time as the Kansas game last season. And I
wrong.
can
Okay.
see this turning into a Kansas Part 2 where we go into Ames. The environment is the best that they will have played in. And I think they squeeze out a game. They squeeze out the game. Um, Score, though, I'm going 77-71.
Okay.
I think they continued to keep their average of like 86 points per game in the last like 4 games or something like that. So I think they squeeze out and stay within that average, but I think it's going to be a pretty similar game to what they had in Lawrence last year.
It's so we'll see. Should be a fun one.
They win if they shoot better than 70% from the free throw line. I think
Okay.
that will be, I think, the telltale.
I like that. Especially going to be on the road. It'll be tougher to shoot free throws. Iowa State Cyclone Crazies. I don't know what they're called there, but
We'll
playing
go with
on the road
that.
in the playing on the road in the Big 12 is a tough thing to do. BYU's lucky enough they've won three. I think it's three in a row on the road. Um, Going through my head right now trying to figure out who it would be. Maybe it's just two. Maybe it's just or no, yeah, three in a row on the road. West Virginia, Arizona, and Arizona State.
Yeah,
So it's tough to win the Big 12. BYU's done it as of late, but yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited to watch the game tomorrow. Guess we'll just have to see what happens.
I'm excited, Cam. I'm
It's gonna be a
excited.
lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. Well, I think we can safely say that's a pretty good wrap up on the first show for Scorebird Sports Podcast. But
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of fun. This is the first time we were talking about this before we started recording. This is the first time either of us have done a podcast, and so over time as we do more and more episodes, I'm sure we'll get smoother transitions and smoother with all that stuff. But I'm really excited. This is going to be a lot of fun. Um, who knows if we'll see where we end up taking this, but I'm excited with wherever it goes. Covering BYU sports, NFL, MLB, NHL, other just wild things we see in basketball and anything else.
I couldn't put it better myself. I'm excited to see where this takes us. I haven't done anything like this. I've wanted to do this for a while, and I couldn't think of a better guy to do it with. So this is gonna be a good journey. I think. Hopefully, open
Yeah.
up some pretty big doors. So
Well, yeah, I'm excited. Connor, this is going to be fun. I'm not quite sure if we've nailed down, how often we're going to record these episodes or not yet, but
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
yeah, we'll figure it out for sure. But we'll keep. I mean, this is obviously first episode, so if you listen the whole way through, we do appreciate it. Again, Cameron Clark, Connor Kendall. This is Scorebird Sports Podcast. Connor, any departing words?
No, we appreciate your ears. You listening to us. Got this one out, but we'll be posting this on wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. So
Well, it'll be a lot of fun. Connor, it was a good one today. Can't wait to get back at it another day.
can't say it better. See you next time.
See you, man.